Episode 27, Social Credit and War. We are often told that war occurs due to faults in human nature, i.e., because of the vices of greed, pride, hatred, and so forth. But what if this isn't exactly true? According to the social credit analysis of Major C.H. Douglas, not to be confused with Chinese social credit, much of modern warfare can be traced back to a very different cause.
The financial system is beyond question the chief cause of international friction, since, as we have seen, no nation can buy its own production. A struggle for markets in which to dispose of the surplus is inevitable. The translation of this commercial struggle into a military contest is merely a question of time and opportunity.
Social creditors have repeatedly warned that there is a chronic economic cause, entirely artificial in nature and therefore unnecessary, which inexorably leads nations to take up arms against each other: the price-income gap. The underlying deficiency in consumer purchasing power afflicts all industrial societies operating under standard banking and cost accounting conventions. These countries are pressured to alleviate the lack of liquidity in the domestic economy by seeking to export more than they import. A so-called favourable trade balance, which is actually unfavourable in real terms because it implies a net loss of real wealth, helps an economy to fill the gap between the prices of consumer goods and the consumer's incomes. It does this by getting rid of part of the surplus production, while at the same time increasing the flow of purchasing power to consumers through the jobs that are created and the profits that are obtained by the exporting companies. The problem is that it is mathematically impossible for all of the nations in the world to export more than they import. It is a zero-sum game. For every exporting champion, there must be a loser with a trade deficit. Countries that import more than they export are left with an even greater gap problem. Since every country is forced to operate under the same internal deficit of purchasing power, the struggle for a favourable trade balance constitutes a struggle for survival. This leads, quite naturally, to economic conflict, or rather, to economic warfare, in the form of commercial wars and free trade alliances. And this can spill over all too easily into military conflict. A country that does not manage to compete successfully through innovation, hard work, and the achievement of lower prices in comparison with its rivals can choose to ensure its victory through war, i.e. by defeating its economic opponents on the battlefield. Such a war may allow the aggressor to destroy part of a rival's productive capacity, to seize resources and/or through the eventual signing of peace treaties, to insist on more favourable commercial conditions for itself as part of due reparations. The real reason for the war will, of course, be more or less hidden from the public and a pretext found. Indeed, war itself can be regarded as a form of government-funded exportation, since government borrowing is one of the main methods for bridging the gap, and national security provides a convenient excuse for a massive increase in such borrowing. Nations which are unsuccessful in conventional export warfare can fill the gap by spending on overt warfare. The whole purpose of a war then is to dump as many bombs and shells on the enemy nation as possible, without allowing that other nation to dump any of its exports in the form of armaments on you. Once again, a ruse involving an external threat or enemy will be manufactured. Naive souls seduced by appeals to glory, loyalty and sacrifice will be harnessed as cannon fodder in the service of economic and occult political objectives, which they do not understand. The pressure placed on nations to compensate for their internal price-income gaps via favourable trade balances is intensified by the universally defended policy of full employment. If we madly insist in direct opposition to the real physical potential of the modern economy, that all or almost all must work in the formal economy in order to obtain purchasing power, or be supported by those who do, then we are demanding continual economic growth as a means of distributing additional income as the population grows. The resulting production must find some outlet. If it cannot be absorbed internally, a market must be secured for it abroad. It was for this reason that John Hargrave, leader of the Green Shirts, a paramilitary social credit group of the 1930s, audaciously proclaimed on more than one occasion that
"He who cries for full employment cries for war."
as an alternative, we could fill the price-income gap along social credit lines. The result? The main impetus to modern war would disappear overnight. Until these hard realities of economic life, however stupid they may be in their origins, are dealt with on a rational basis, all appeals to pacifism must fall on deaf ears. This animated series was sponsored by the Clifford Hugh Douglas Institute for the Study and Promotion of Social Credit. For more information on Douglas Social Credit, please visit socred.org or socialcredit.com.au. Be sure to like this video and please subscribe to our channel.